Welcome to the Birth Room Podcast, where holy ground meets bare feet and the wilderness of labor enters sacred space. We are your hosts, Sydney Hagan and Nicole Smith. I'm Sydney, founder of Untamed Birth, birthkeeper and educator, mother of 3, 2 of which born unassisted at home.
And I'm Nicole, founder of the Rewild Birth Collective, birth servant and herbalist. I'm also the mother to 5 wildly wonderful children who were all born at home.
Together, we invite you into honest conversations at the threshold of life, where birth is not a medical event to be managed, but a holy unfolding, raw, reverent, and real, rooted in radical responsibility. The birth room is not one place. It takes many forms. Sterile halls, candlelit bedrooms, quiet tubs, moving cars or crowded clinics, linen sheets, plastic covers, or bare ground. But no matter where it unfolds, birth is holy ground. It is where the veil thins, the breath of God hovers close. In cries and stillness, in pain and power, birth is sacred. Welcome to the birth room. Stories, wisdom, and truth from the edge of life's beginning.
Okay. Hi. It's been
Way too long.
4 months,
I think so.
since we've recorded a podcast episode. We took a much needed break over the holidays, but it is what it is.
Yes.
We're ready to get back to it. We're eager. So
Yeah. Life happens
it does.
in all the ways.
And it has.
Is there ever
in
going to
all
be?
the ways.
Is there ever going to be a time where life isn't happening to us, where it's more of like, we take life by the horns and have control?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know if people like that actually exist.
I don't either.
So, you want to tell everyone what we're here discussing today?
Yes. So we are talking about placentas and all the greatness that goes with placentas, but specifically delayed cord clamping and so delivery of, and then the process of what to do with the placenta post-delivery. So 3rd stage onward.
Yeah. And we're going to start with the actual function of the placenta and the cord. So when is the placenta formed?
Ooh, good question. Sydney's testing me. It actually starts, I don't know, when is it formed?
Shortly after implantation.
Yeah,
So like within a few days.
Yeah.
And then it pretty much takes over the nourishment and development of your baby by like 8 to 12 weeks. So towards the end of your first trimester.
In case anyone's wondering, Sydney's way better at the scientifical facts than
I would disagree with that.
Ever will be. So, there's that.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that one. I have notes that I'm reading from, to be fair.
Yeah, I was like picturing, I'm like, well, I know cell division takes place first. And then, once it's connected, it's developing simultaneously. So,
and it pretty much is.
Yeah.
So, So your placenta is fully developed about halfway through your pregnancy. And it will grow with your baby for the rest of your pregnancy, but it's fully developed, fully formed,
which
about 20 weeks.
I will say on this, I am going to get a little bit scientific here. We have had mamas in specifically the home birth world that come to us, and they're, we've been talking to them about nutrition this whole time, and they're 25, 30 weeks in, and we're very concerned because they're not hearing or heeding our advice, and they'll, make a radical shift, or they won't.
Mm-hmm.
But with the placenta, because that is your child's life source, you need to be nourishing it and thinking about it well before conception even takes place. And we can see a difference in the quality of a placenta, the thickness, the venation of the placenta, the quality of the amniotic sac. All of that is and should be focused on and built before a pregnancy ever takes place. And if pregnancy just happens and you weren't expecting it, then of course, immediately from day one, you need to be focusing on good nutrition, not just for the baby, but to nourish and build a healthy placenta.
Yeah. So we hear so often, and I see it all the time on social media, women worried about their nutrition. And then a lot of people are like, don't worry, your body's going to give you what baby needs. And, you know, it's that whole reassurance that they're not being a bad mom already. But on the other hand, we do need to prioritize nourishing ourselves so we can nourish our baby.
Well, and so they're exactly right. Your body is going to take for the baby what the baby needs, but that means that the minerals that your teeth need to stay strong are gone. It means that your iron stores are going to be depleted. Do you know a baby takes 6 weeks of iron from the placenta through their blood from you for the first 6 weeks postpartum? 6 weeks of iron supply.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, so sure, the baby is going to get what it needs, but that means that you're not. Your hair's going to break. Your nails are going to break. Your skin is going to not be glowing. And the science of that is vitamins and minerals and nutrients. If you don't have those things going in, your body is going to take from your stores. And if your stores are not built up or being replenished regularly, you're going to suffer from that. And then you're going to be at greater risk for postpartum depression, like all the things, right? It's all connected. There's no one thing in our body that isn't connected to something else. And God did that by design. That whole, I am the vine, you are the branches. Like we could put that into a metaphor of like really and truly, like we need to be connected to the life source. And everything points back to that.
Exactly. So what else does the placenta do?
Oh, gosh. Sorry, I feel like this is... So it nourishes the baby, as we said. It oxygenates the baby. It filters the blood for the baby. It allows toxins to be processed out of the blood exchange for the baby, and also protects the baby for what is going in. So, for example, if a mom has a virus, the placenta is going to process and filter that. What did I miss? Nutrients, vitamins, oxygen, blood purification, and circulation.
And it allows the mother and the baby circulations to be intimately connected, but never actually mingled.
Which I think we're going to touch more on that in the design of it. But why is that important? So let's think about RH factor and let's think about...
Let me explain just a little bit further so everyone can kind of be on the same page. Baby's capillaries are continuously being bathed, so to speak, in the mother's blood. But there's a thin layer, the amniotic sac, that keeps them separated. So they never actually mingle.
So if I am O positive and let's use O negative. Let's use the O negative for the mom. If I'm O negative and I marry somebody who's a positive, we have the possibility of having a negative or a positive baby with a negative or positive blood type. And so why this becomes important is because if baby's positive blood type mingles and actually makes that exchange and interaction with my blood, my body's going to recognize that as an invader and create fighter cells to come then and attack the baby, resulting in a loss. And so this is, again, God's amazing design for allowing us to filter and process to be one, but not cross that threshold of danger zone, and allowing us to have different blood types while also fully nourishing our baby, and baby fully receiving what the mother has.
It's pretty cool. So the nutrients that the placenta is transferring to your baby are the building blocks for their growth and development for how long?
Everything. I mean, until they deliver. So 6 weeks postpartum, we talked about that when I was in school, we learned about this little suitcase that they pack and they take, iron and A and B, all the vitamins and minerals that they take, but specifically iron, because you think about a baby's blood and you think about it being thinner, and you think about what is needed for that blood to maintain flowability and movability in the baby's body. Iron's a really important piece, especially in those early days where they don't have a clotting factor, because if they are going to bleed, they need higher levels of iron. Think about a mom, think about in pregnancy, why it's so important for them to have high hemoglobin. We want them to be like 13, but 14 would be amazing. Because then when they experience blood loss, they have reserves, they have some stores that they can handle it. Well, same thing for a baby. They need that, that higher level of iron to withstand delivery alone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of nutrients, other than the iron and what we've already talked about, what kind of nutrients are actually passed to baby?
I mean,
Everything.
Everything. It literally is the life source of the baby.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's incredible. It's the only organ that we grow and expel from our bodies.
Yeah.
And don't need it anymore. Just physiologically. Like, obviously you have people who go in and they need, they take their gallbladder out for certain reasons or something. But this is a physiologic process that we just expel an organ from our body.
Well, and it's not just a clump of tissue. It is an active muscular tissue, veins, arteries. It has its whole system contained within itself.
Yeah.
It's not just a hunk of stuff.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it also takes waste products from the baby and diffuses it back into the mother's blood, where it's then cleansed and then returned through the placenta.
Yeah. So oxygen in, carbon dioxide out, which is crazy. You think about, a baby being inside of the amniotic fluid, or maybe think of a fish, right? A fish they're using their gill system to do the very same thing. They're taking oxygen in through the water environment that they're living in. They're processing it, and then they're expelling the carbon dioxide. Well, same thing for a baby. They're being oxygenated through the blood and then expelling the carbon dioxide and waste through the placenta.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to come back to that a little bit later, because we want to really elaborate on the importance of that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this is totally, the whole process of the purpose of the placenta is truly the gospel written in flesh.
Yeah. Which I'm going to let you talk more into it, because I think you've written it out beautifully and you'll say it more eloquently than I, but
maybe we'll see.
But again, pointing back, every system, especially in birth, points to God, points to his design, points to the beauty of the necessity of us needing to be in him.
Yeah.
Like, apart from him, we're nothing. Apart from him, like, what is there?
Yeah.
So I'll let you.
I say all the time, science is constantly catching up with the word.
Yeah. And
constantly.
And confirming what God has already told us.
Yeah. It's crazy. And everybody needs this scientific proof and scientific evidence for everything. And it's like, well, it's already there.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because before, this is where facts get out of my brain. This is postmenopause, or perimenopause rather. Before we started moving into the modern age, before we started moving into this logic phase, people just trusted the mystery. They just trusted. And I think that's where that childlike mind comes in, and where really we have to be okay with an element of mystery. We have to be okay with not knowing all the things, because it's in the not knowing that we can fully trust.
Yes.
Right. And that kind of goes to our whole philosophy of holding birth with open hands. if you have all this logic wrapped up in it, like sometimes throw the logic out the window and just like trust the mystery.
Yeah.
So
I just want to point to some like beautiful connections here. Our blood cleanses baby's blood. Our nutrients pour into them. We carry what harms them until it's removed and made clean. All separated by the thinnest veil. So to recap, a mother's blood cleansing her child's is a living echo of Christ's blood cleansing us.
Yeah. Well, is your brain exploding right now?
And this is why the placenta is one of my favorite parts of birth. There's many, but I love a good placenta.
Yeah. Even a poor placenta is such a good picture of like, oh.
It still did the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It carried it. We just saw a placenta recently. We had 2 battledore placentas back to back.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Well, you want to tell people what that is? Really
Sure. Quick? And one was velamentis, which is even more whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah. So both home births, battledore. So you'll see in our placenta video, but placenta picture a circle like a dinner plate. And the insertion, or where the umbilical cord connects, should be central. So in the middle. Not should be. Usually is inserted in the center.
Or close to.
Or close to. A battledore is, can you make a placenta for me? Thank you. Will be inserted on one of the edges. So instead of being center inserted, it'll be connecting on the edge of the placenta somewhere. And a velamentis one is where the amniotic tissue, like there's tissue separating the cord. So there's actually space between the cord and the placenta, and the veins and arteries are going through the very thinnest part of the amniotic sac rather than on the placenta, which can be very dangerous. Yeah. They can separate very easily. So
was that detected on an ultrasound or?
Nope.
Did she do no ultrasounds or?
One ultrasound.
Man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Back to back. And both, they were fine. The velamentis one was a very short cord. So baby delivered and had to stay very low until they were separated. But wow. Yeah, just a really amazing picture that even in our weakness, it still can do the work. Okay. Carry on with your analogy. Okay. It's really good.
Okay. So taking it just one step further, Mary's blood cleansed Jesus' blood so that Jesus's blood could then cleanse all of us and Mary.
In Orthodoxy, we call Mary's womb the womb that carried the world, or the womb that brought life to the world, because truly through her womb came the ability for the entire universe to come to Christ.
Yeah, that's just incredible. I mean, God chose to bring Jesus into the world through the body of a woman. And it's just so clearly imprinted on us, literally from the start of life.
Yeah.
The gospel, the story of redemption, imprinted into our bodies.
And if we want to get like really theological, God is both fully man and fully human. So in order for Jesus to be Jesus in the flesh, he had to take flesh from Mary, blood, tissue, DNA, all of her bits and parts, to form himself in the womb while maintaining that divinity. Because, as you said, that thinnest veil of separation, his blood was his own. Her blood was her own. Through her, he was able to become and cleansed and purified and all the things. But then ultimately, through him, we're all cleansed. And what?
Totally mind-blowing.
So cool.
Yeah. When I was writing down these notes, I have a hard time not crying thinking about it because it's just so absolutely incredible. But
yeah, how can you be in birth work and not see this? It just blows my mind.
Yeah. So the function of the placenta literally tells us the story of redemption.
Yeah.
A picture of exchanged life, sustained life, protection, nourishment, cleansing,
Mm-hmm.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. And shouldn't that be honored?
Yeah. Right down to the veil being torn, like
Yes.
death being conquered by death and life being offered to the world.
Yeah.
That thin veil that we referenced in the way of the amniotic sac is pictured in the temple, and that being torn. And again, in Orthodox tradition, Mary had a hand in sewing the fabric that was that veil in the temple. She would have had a hand at making that veil.
Amazing.
Right?
Amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we historically, we look at the placenta in disgust. We toss it in the garbage without a second thought.
Or we don't even look at it.
Yeah.
Like some moms don't even have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Especially in a hospital setting, it just goes into this bag, this catch-all.
Yeah. It's one of the things I love about home birth midwifery is they're showing you the placenta. They're showing you this is good. Yeah. This is what happened. This is what, and they even so many times, I think in every single home birth that I've been to when there were older children, they bring the kids in and they tell them, they show them what this incredible organ did in sustaining their new sibling's life.
Yep.
It's just so much more personable.
Yeah.
It's so much more sacred and special. And yeah.
So
but no, we have this history of ignoring the entire work that this thing, we even consume it. You know?
Yeah, which Sydney and I will put some references for you guys in the show notes and in our course, because that's such a topic of hot discussion.
Yes.
It's, should we be consuming it? Should we not be consuming it? What are the benefits? What are the risks? And I think when we put it in context, we can come to a good conclusion. But
I think that topic is worthy of its own episode in itself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So maybe one day we'll do that. I'll add that to the list.
And we're being vague on purpose because it's one of those things where you really do have to come to your own decision. For sure. She and I are very much on the same page, but I do placenta encapsulation and processing and anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So God writes the gospel into the body from the first breath to the last.
We both watched in our training. There's, I think it was in HJ, the Jewish rabbi who talks about Jesus going through all of the feasts, the Levitical feasts, through the process of development and like what's coming online when they're able to hear, when their senses, when they can see, and how that correlates to all of the Jewish feasts. So again, another imprint of God's, his stamp on every design, every process.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've said that in this episode already, but it is. It's incredible.
Somebody count that and put it in the comments. How many times have we said incredible?
So what else is the placenta other than an organ? Because we already discussed that. It's the only one that we don't keep by design.
Yep.
And it's part of the baby's body.
Yes, it's part of the baby's body, and it holds its life source, which is the baby's blood. It holds 1/3 of the baby's blood. And that 1/3 is a very important
1/3.
1/3 of blood. An 8-pound baby is going to have roughly 1 cup of blood.
450 milliliters.
So can you imagine depriving them of 1/3 of that? If you took out 1/3 of the milk in a pancake recipe, you wouldn't like the recipe very much. That's a big deal.
I'm pretty sure that's all of the milk in a pancake recipe.
Okay, that's my point. Exactly. This is a really, really important. Really
and all of its
thing.
babies. All of that blood is babies. It doesn't belong anywhere else but with baby.
Correct. Again, it's not intermingling with mom's blood.
Yeah. So to put that into perspective, every 50 milliliters of a 7.5-pound baby equals 1,000 milliliters of a 150-pound mother. And if we lost 1/3 of our blood supply,
we would be
in severe shock.
Yeah, we would.
This would be a severe hemorrhage.
Yeah, we would
Taken very seriously.
We would be. Yeah, that would be not good.
Yeah, we'd be on transfusions. Would we potentially even not survive it?
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is why we're having this conversation,
Yes.
because it's so important that we know this. How many of us knew that our baby's blood was in the placenta and they weren't getting their blood back? Like,
Yeah.
my mom didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did
And
you
it's-
know
it's
that
a-
when you
no,
had? I didn't
absolutely
know
not.
that fact when I had my son. Now, thankfully, he was born at home, so my midwives didn't cut his cord for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so many, and we're going to talk about why, but so many babies are being deprived of their blood.
Yeah. So around 30 weeks, about half of the blood resides in the placenta, half the blood resides in the baby.
Mm-hmm.
At birth, roughly a third resides in the placenta, and the rest is in the baby.
Well, and it's actually going back and forth.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
of
go
the
on.
contractions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as the baby's being squeezed and as the uterus is clamping down, that blood is ebbing and flowing and ebbing and flowing back and forth, baby to placenta, baby to placenta. And so we don't know at what point it's either ebbed or flowed once baby's delivered.
Yeah.
And if it's on the ebb, baby might even have less than that
Yes.
amount.
Yes.
in
And
its
this is an
body.
important thing to also discuss for women who are receiving medications during labor.
Mhm.
Because the common misconception is, well, none of that gets to baby. While that is partially true, it is not entirely true. As we know, the blood does not ever mix, but it's impossible for the placenta to filter out everything.
Well, I am a perfect example of that. I was so high when I was delivered. I had an APGAR score of 1.
Oof.
I was so drugged because of, so they mismedicated my mom. They gave her a round of whatever they gave her. And I still to this day don't know. But then they doubled whatever she was supposed to have. She got more than she should have gotten. And so she and I were both so affected. And most probably, knowing what I know now, they gave it to her too close to pushing, which again, so Stadol, they don't give moms Stadol if they're at a certain point in labor because it gets to baby and it causes sleepy babies, poor responding babies, less tone, less ability to breathe, all of these things. And so, yeah, it's a load of silliness, we shall say.
I will say, if you
Mud.
have a provider who is offering medication to you and they say that there's no risk because it doesn't reach baby, that's a red flag.
Mhm.
Absolutely a red flag. Because it's just either naivety or deception or stupidity.
Yeah. Or an intentional willingness to give you something with a disregard for long-term effects on the baby.
Yeah.
Which we know.
And you.
Yeah, and you too. Yeah, we know that happens more than we would like to admit.
Yeah. So how long does it take after the birth to fully transfer back to baby, all of the blood?
Yeah, so this actually, some of the baby's blood can even be still in the placenta after delivery. So sometimes in Anne Fry's book, she talks about if a baby's slow to come around, to actually lift the placenta higher than the baby so that you can quickly drain or perfuse the baby with blood, which kind of gives them like a jolt or a surge of life force of their blood.
Yeah.
And so the true delayed cord clamping and cutting and process, we like to say 5 minutes or longer. So if you're hearing a doctor say, oh yeah, we do delayed cord clamping, and they're waiting 30 or 60 seconds, that's not true delayed cord clamping.
Yeah.
It's not so much the time as it is the process. So once the placenta's been delivered, there is still the possibility of blood being in that placenta. And one way to be sure that it's been delivered all to the baby is to put the placenta and baby at the same level, or by moving the placenta a little bit higher than the baby. And then you know that it's been fully drained.
Yeah.
And we see that some of the hospital births that I've done placenta encapsulation for, those placentas are so bloody because they've been cut so quickly. So the placenta is still so full of the baby's blood.
Yeah. So in most cases, within 5 minutes, the full transfusion has happened. But it can be all the way up to 3 hours.
Yeah.
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 Wow. That's a wide range.
That's a wide range. And it's really sad that it's just like the birth center debacle where it's like, oh, I'm having a baby in a birth center. Well, is that just a room connected to the hospital? Like they've
like in my case.
They've used that word so flippantly.
Yeah.
There's not really a good, clear definition. So they're claiming birth center when really it's just a glorified hospital room with all the same things that you would have in a hospital room.
Yeah. So to build on this, if you're creating your birth plan right now, do not put, especially if you're birthing in a hospital, do not put delayed cord clamping on your birth plan.
Right.
Do not put wait for white on your birth plan, because then it leaves it up to the provider to say, okay, that's delayed cord clamping, or, oh, it's white. Could be white after 1 minute.
Yeah.
So,
well, and again, depending on if you got to think about what's happening in the uterus with the placenta. If the placenta is connected to the uterus and the uterus is clamping down, it's still squeezing and perfusing that blood. If it's on a rest, it's not perfusing.
Yeah.
On a clamp, it's perfusing.
Yeah.
So,
So rather than putting delayed cord clamping or wait for white or something like that, what you should be putting on your birth plan is something more along the lines of, we want to decide when to cut the cord, when to clamp the cord.
Yes.
And
or even better, if you're in a hospital, tell them that you're doing a lotus birth.
Yeah.
And that you're not going to have them cut the cord at any point. And then if you change your mind.
Exactly. You can always change your mind.
Yeah. But you can't reconnect it. Once it's cut, you can't. You can't put it back. I mean, you could, I guess. But
well, it wouldn't work. No. We'll talk about why.
Yes.
So what are some benefits of waiting?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Do you want to go down the list that I prepared for us?
Yes. Let's go down the list that you prepared for us.
Okay. So number 1, baby has more red cells that belongs in their body, which means they're getting more oxygen carrying capacity.
Yep.
Which means better circulation during newborn transition.
Yeah. Can I pause you here and just develop this a little bit?
Yes. This was all together. So.
Okay. So we have this lovely little thing called hypovolemic shock that if I was in a car accident and my arm was cut off and I was bleeding out, I would go into hypovolemic shock and need transfusions, and my blood pressure would plummet and I would be cold and unresponsive, and my blood sugars would tank and. So a lot of times we see babies who can't regulate their body temperature, can't keep their glycemic index up. They're unresponsive. They're lethargic. They're having symptoms of shock, surprisingly. And it's just simply because they didn't get all the blood that belonged to them.
Yeah.
So we're literally creating a shock system for these babies.
Yeah. And you might have covered some of those in these. We'll go over some more.
Yeah, we can develop each one a little bit.
So another benefit is prevention of anemia, which you talked about, the iron stores being really, really, really important for 6 weeks post-birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also is going to support brain development. It's going to support growth in the first months of life, support oxygen supply while baby's lungs learn gradually to take over. When we're cutting that cord immediately, you're forcing baby to start taking in oxygen through their lungs. And that's really abrupt.
We just had another situation where a baby needed a little bit of help with breathing. It was a water birth, so to be expected. They're a little bit slower to transition. They don't realize that they're born, and she was breathing, but not vigorously breathing.
Yeah.
So everything else was great. Like her tone was great. She was alert. She just wasn't breathing like we were wanting her to breathe. So yeah, baby was breathing, but very slowly. And we wanted to see her have a little bit more of a breath because her color was not the best. And so we gave her a couple little puffs of air. And, that helped to move the fluid and expedite the process a little bit. But the cool thing was we didn't have to worry because there was no separation gush. So we knew the placenta was still doing its job, which allowed us to keep that calm demeanor because we knew that baby was still getting what it needed from mom, even externally, which gave us the time to help her transition in her slow, beautiful way. Yeah. But there wasn't it wasn't frantic. It wasn't an emergency. It was like, okay, we're watchful. But until the placenta separates, we know that it's doing its job. Yeah. 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 It was so cool.
Love that.
So I'm going to go back to brain because I do want to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Did we already say with the hypovolemia, which is just lower blood volume, that this can cause anemic issues for the rest of the baby's life?
No.
Yeah. So think about this. Think about if you're a woman and if we ourselves were deprived of our blood, that's putting us at risk when we carry a pregnancy for anemia.
Yes.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but I kind of want my blood back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they didn't wait for mine, but that's like, come on, people, this is a big deal.
Yeah. And I see so many women, especially in pregnancy, develop anemia. And that's just wild and that was practice back then.
Yeah. So it could have been just that. It could have been that they were deprived and so their body just naturally is going to struggle because they were predisposed to it because they too had their blood stolen.
Yeah.
Rude.
It's not fair.
No, it isn't. Okay, you talked about brain development.
Supports the brain development.
All right. So when the brain doesn't have all of its blood that it needs, it can actually have an increase in the risk of intraventricular hemorrhage, IVH. And this happens more so in preterm babies than in full-term babies. But again, blood sugar, temperature, early bleeding, all of these things in preterm pregnancies or in deliveries are even exponentially more important that they don't cut and clamp too soon. I mean, I feel like infants or babies that are born preterm, but it should be a standard that they just put the placenta like a little jacket on the baby and just like leave it there.
Carry it around like a backpack.
Right? Exactly. Like, especially these babies. Yeah. Maybe that's something we can see happen in our lifetime. It would keep them warm. Yeah. It would give them their blood. Yeah. It's soft. It's comfy. It's familiar. Yeah. It would get cold pretty soon. But, okay. That's a thought.
Just build on to the kangaroo care that they do in hospitals.
Yeah.
Backpack care.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like that. Use the cord as like a little strap.
Maybe that's too far.
Okay, maybe might be a little too far. Whatever, it's fine. Okay. What else? Did you talk about respiratory distress?
I was getting there.
Okay.
Fills baby's circulatory system properly when you wait, when you let them get all of their blood. It stabilizes their blood pressure. It supports heart function during transition.
So blood pressure, just for layman people, it's really cool. The amount of blood that's filling our vessels is going to affect the pressure, right? So the amount of fluid flowing, and this is like really dumbed down, but the amount of fluid that's flowing is going to tell us if we have good pressure or if it's weak, right? And so in shock, we have lower fluid, so it's not putting pressure on the ventricle system, right? And where was I going with that? Why
I don't know,
Nicole. My brain.
Stabilizes blood pressure.
Oh, right.
Getting all their blood.
So just in keeping that in context, of course, if we don't have enough blood to fill the system in the way that it was designed, right? My body has X amount of blood. Your body has X amount of blood.
Which everyone is unique in the amount of blood that they have, which we'll talk more about once we get to the active management versus...
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going with that. The baby's ability to maintain temperature, pressures, all of these vital systems depends on their blood, and their body was perfectly designed for that amount of blood.
Yes.
And so if you're, again, taking that portion out of the recipe, it's not going to do in the ventricle system what it needs to do to keep the pressures regulated.
Yeah.
Okay.
It helps baby's circulatory system turn on, so to speak, gently rather than abruptly. That's a huge one. And also plays into the shock.
Yeah.
And then lastly, stem cells helps with healing, growth, and development. It helps with the immune development, tissue repair, organ development. These are the baby's own stem cells made during pregnancy, and we're taking them from them when we immediately clamp and cut the cord.
You know how else we're taking them? We're injecting babies with vitamin K who don't need it. Stem cells move more freely in thinner blood, and they get to more parts of the body when the blood is thin.
Yeah. And
So
I have a note here somewhere that we get deeper into that, I think.
Oh, good.
But yeah.
By design, God made babies with thinner blood so that their stem cells can get to the places that were just squeezed through a little tiny birth canal, i.e. their skull, their brain. Think about what we just talked about, the hemorrhage. They need those stem cells. And if we're depriving them not only of the amount of stem cells, but the ability for the stem cells to move, what are we doing? Now, there is a time and place for vitamin K. I'm not anti-vitamin K. I am pro, do your research, and use vitamin K when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
You have a baby with a full face of bruising, or they've been through really traumatic extraction via clamps or a vacuum, then yes, they probably do need some vitamin K.
Yeah.
But also research the vehicle in which you give them the vitamin K. So,
yep. Okay, so now we're on to the risks of immediate cord clamping.
Yeah.
Which is where we'll talk about what you were asking about. And you already touched on this, but hypovolemic shock from lack of red blood cells equals less stored iron at birth, equals anemia, and lack of support to brain development. And you already touched on that, so we'll move on to the next one.
You're just really good at organizing the scientific facts.
That's what it is.
I'm really good at ping-ponging the facts around in my brain. You're really good at, we're going to talk about them in a nice, beautiful order.
It's just how my brain works. I need to, because we have a hard time with staying on track. So I'm like, okay, we need to organize everything out so that we don't miss anything.
Honeycomb spaghetti.
Yes. So another risk of immediate clamping, lack of immune cells, platelets, plasma proteins. These help with immune support and healing.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Everything in the brain, body, system is vitalized and nourished by the blood. We need the blood.
Yep.
Oh, there's that little plug for the gospel.
Yep. And on to what you asked about, respiratory distress syndrome.
Yes.
How many times have you heard a mother say, thank God I was in the hospital because my baby needed resuscitation or help breathing or even a NICU stay for respiratory distress? How many times have we heard that? That's the main reason moms say, thank God we were in the hospital. And they don't even realize that very, very potentially it was caused due to immediate cord clamping. It's just so mind-blowing.
There's hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, HIE, which is one of those like, oh my gosh, your baby could have died.
Yeah.
And literally the anecdote is just let it have its blood.
Yeah.
First, right off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is transition stress.
Yeah.
Full on transition stress. You're immediately cutting off the oxygen they're getting from the placenta so that they are forced to take breaths with their lungs.
Yeah.
Rather than allowing that slow transition. I mean, they just went through this process of birth. That's stressful in itself. Right. And now you're stressing them out in the transition into the world, going from womb to world.
Well, and babies feel that. There's so many trainings and so many times I've seen this in birth where you cut the cord and the baby cries. They're feeling that. Yeah. There's a stress there if it's not done with the greatest of care and respect for the way that it should be done. I believe there is a should be way.
Yeah.
And that's not to rush it unless there's a medical, and there are very
there's
a very small group of reasons for cutting immediately.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. But,
yeah. I mean, what do I have listed here? Three reasons that I could come up with. And that was,
Yeah.
And those are even very, like, we'll talk about it, but.
Yeah. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Staying
on track.
Bullet points. Okay.
So less blood equals less circulation to the lungs, possible necrosis, slow infarction, and even permanent loss of tissue. That is wild.
Yeah.
Necrosis, guys. Like, that is a risk. It's not super common, but it's a risk. And no one talks about it.
Nope.
So the inability to regulate body temperature due to poor circulation, resulting in a lack of stability in the baby. We've touched on all of this with the other ones, but it's just, we're driving it home now.
Well, and you think about these things that you just listed are all things that if in a hospital setting, if the baby was experiencing these things, they would take them to the warmer or they would take them out or potentially admit them to the NICU.
Yeah.
And so not only are you then depriving them of their blood, but then you're creating this cascade of interventions for the baby who now is going to be separated from mom, who then even more so is not going to be able to regulate blood, is not going to be able to nurse right away, which is going to affect their blood sugar. And the snowball is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as we go.
Yeah. So you'll probably want to elaborate on this one, but another risk is temporary heart murmurs due to those circulatory issues.
Yeah, because if the pressure is off, you're going to not have the pressure that you need to open and close valves. And you have to remember a baby's transitioning from blood interaction through the umbilical cord to their valves literally coming online.
Yeah.
And having to do what their job that they've never done before. And so if they don't have the proper amount of blood, of course their heart's going to be affected. Of course their valves coming online are going to have a reaction to the lack of blood.
Yeah. Yeah. So some researchers believe that stem cells and immune support in placental blood may contribute to long-term health. If you ask Google will say that there's not enough research for this. But I mean, it's just common sense at this point. Possible long-term vulnerability is a real thing when you're depriving baby of all of the things that we've already talked about.
So you think about, we know that gestational diabetes in the mom predisposes a baby to gestational diabetes, or type 2 diabetes, and then possible gestational diabetes in their life. So if that is the case, and we're creating a situation for hypovolemic shock, which leads to hypoglycemic swings, are we not, again, predisposing our children to these things? It's all connected. We keep saying that, but it is all connected.
Yeah. So I think we covered benefits and risks on that. I think we can wrap that portion up.
Risks, I want to talk about
something?
the myelinization.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
This is really important. So we'll include this in the show notes. There's a really cool study, and Sydney's the cool link girl. She'll put it in there.
You just got to send it to me.
Yes, I will. So I'm just going to read this because it's not my words. A 5-minute delay in clamping of healthy infants' umbilical cords results in increased iron stores and brain myelin in areas important for early life function and development. A new University of Rhode Island of Nursing study has found, and this is a quote by Erickson Owens. He says, when we wait 5 minutes to clamp the cord of healthy babies, there is a return of the infant's own blood from the placenta. We just talked about that. And one of the results is a return of up to 50%, 50% of the baby's iron-rich blood cells, said URI professor of nursing Deborah A. Erickson Owens. She's a certified nurse midwife. She's the one who conducted the study. Okay, here's where it gets important. When these are the red blood cells that the brain needs, and the iron included. So the iron is one of the important building blocks to make myelin. So if you don't know what myelin is it's like a fatty substance which wraps around the axon of the synapses that happen in the brain. So when we're developing, we have neurological synapses. So think about a microwave and its cord plugging into the wall. So the neuron has to connect to the wall. So the microwave has to connect to the wall. And the axon or the synapse that happens, think of the cord, and the synapse is the connection of power from the thing to the power source. So myelin...
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. Yeah, you're pulling the power from the wall, right? Either way, electricity can flow both ways. So myelin is, think about electricity. If there was no rubber around the cord, electricity would go everywhere, it would shock, and it wouldn't power the thing, right? Because it would be dissipated into nothing. So myelin is like the sheath that keeps the electrical synapse inside of that neural pathway so that it can function, so that it can do the thing. Like language or writing or smelling or sitting or thinking, or all the things that our whole self is powered by these neurological synapses. So if we're taking away 50%, we're affecting function and myelinization exponentially. 50%. That's a huge number. Okay. This is where my neuroscience part geeks out. Okay, so back to the quote. Let's see. The region of the brain affected by increased myelinization are those associated with, get this, motor, sensory processing, and function and visual development. These are all important for early phase development. Erickson Owens says the study also obtained information from later checkups, blood work for iron, and neurodevelopment testing, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to read all that. Okay, did I say that? Okay, so this is important. So the peak rate for myelinization, the maximum growth rate for white matter maturation occurs exactly at birth with fractional anisotropy, so the measure of myelin on the axonal integrity. So like how quickly and how thoroughly those synapses are myelinated in dumber terms. And this increases roughly by 44% per day during the first weeks after birth. And then in the regional parts of the brain or progression, regions controlling basic survival and reflexes are nearly 100% myelinated at birth. This is why stress hormones in pregnancy is like such a big topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Regions controlling basic survival and reflexes are nearly 100% myelinated at birth. And then the active areas of the brain. So this is why a baby So they develop from the middle out and from the top down. This is why they have reflexes and why we test them, like swallowing, breathing, pooping, peeing, those kinds of things. Sucking, that's one. But the active areas of the brain stem is mostly myelinated, but the deep brain, the higher regions like the cerebral cortex, are only beginning their rapid phase, and won't be completed until after age 2. So if we're taking 50% of what is needed for myelin development, what does that mean? That means we are creating kids who are going to struggle in really basic things like sensory processing and attention and anything ringing a bell here. So the total comparison by 6 weeks, the brain is still in the infantile pattern where gray and white matter contrast is often reversed on imaging because myelinization is still so sparse compared to the adult. So basically what that's saying is we need what we're not giving our kids.
Yeah.
In layman's terms.
Yeah. And I said it earlier, but I think that's really important to note here. Everybody's so hyper-focused on vaccines and preservatives in our food and dyes and all of these things, which, yes, focus on that, but we're not taking it all the way back to the start, which is birth, which is pregnancy.
Yeah.
Why haven't we gone back that far? Everybody's so focused on what we're focused on right now, the Maha movement. But the Maha movement, as of right now, is not involved in the birth world.
Right. Well, and I used to talk about the first prepared environment being the womb. We spend so much time creating a nursery and getting just the right paint color and all these things. But truly, the first prepared environment that we as mothers need to think about is the womb.
Yeah.
And what kind of environment are we creating there? What kind of sensory input and development? What kind of hormones are we sending in? So before you ever start thinking about a nursery, think about this first nursery, this first place of being.
Yes.
And what you're putting there or not putting there can have really important and detrimental effects depending on how you treat that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the anatomy of the cord.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about some common excuses that providers like to give for immediate cord clamping. And then what real reasons might be.
So, anatomy of the cord. It's just that. It is a cord. It has 2 arteries and a vein. So if you cut it and splice it and you look at the 2 open ends, kind of looks like a little ghost face. You'll see the 2 arteries and then an opening for the vein. So
I prefer smiley face.
Yeah. Smiley face. I don't know. It's always the artery or the vein's always like slanted to one side, and it just always reminds
if you hold
me
it
of,
right, it's a smiley face.
You gotta just hold it up a little. Okay, smiley face.
And the 2 arteries in the vein, this whole trivascular system is surrounded by what's called Wharton's jelly.
Yeah.
Please explain Wharton's jelly.
Okay, so Wharton's jelly is exactly that. It's this goopy, squishy substance that keeps the cord safe. So in a lack of Wharton's jelly, or if we didn't have the Wharton's jelly and a baby was twisting and turning, they could tie a knot in their cord and essentially suffocate themselves because it would tie tight enough and create kinks and kinks and creases that they wouldn't be able to recover from. So the Wharton's jelly keeps it full and keeps it from crinking. Why do I want to keep saying crinking?
I don't know.
Kinking the line. So think of like a hose. If you bend a hose in half, you're going to stop the flow of water because you've kinked it or crinked it. We're going to just go with crink. Same thing with the cord. The Wharton's jelly is what's keeping the cord from kinking and cutting off blood flow to and from.
Yeah.
The
And in
placenta.
rare cases of true knots, it can happen where it does pull tight enough. But for the most part, the vast majority of the time with true knots, in utero, the knot doesn't stay in place. It actually slips along the cord because of this Wharton's jelly.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really cool function.
Yeah. So cord accidents can happen. And they unfortunately do lead to demise.
But again, it's very rare, and it's usually accompanied with other issues with the cord.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's why it's important to nourish and allow these things to build well.
Yeah. So the arteries in the vein are surrounded by the Wharton's jelly, and all of that is encased in the cord.
Yes. And it's really cool, cords, like we talked about, these really healthy, well-nourished, highly mineralized, vitamin, nutrient dense placentas create really beautiful cords. And healthy cords are more spiraled. So you'll see a spiraling effect in really healthy cords, whereas somebody who's addicted to drugs may have no twisting at all.
I actually had a very small cord with my third because I really had developed an unhealthy relationship with food. I hate cooking so much, and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But I hate cooking so much that I would rather starve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I'm bad at cooking. It's just one of those things that it's like a mental load for me or something.
Oh yeah.
And so I developed, with my last pregnancy, I developed a really unhealthy relationship with food.
Mm-hmm.
And I was malnourished. I
And we
think.
could see that
And
your
we saw it.
placenta and your cord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a very small placenta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the smallest that I've seen to date.
Yeah. Baby is perfectly healthy.
Yes. Yeah. Again, a really beautiful display of Sydney's body taking from her stores, which are minimal, I'm sure. And you know what I meant by that.
Yes, of course.
You don't have a lot of extra squishy or maybe minerals, but no padding, no extra padding.
Yeah.
To grow JoJo into this beautiful, healthy little human.
Yeah. But yeah, we could definitely see the footprint of my malnourishment from that pregnancy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Did you notice anything else in your body? Did you notice teeth, vision?
No. I've been wearing glasses for a while. So I guess mostly just like my joint health, but I think that's pretty typical for pregnancy anyway. Yeah. So I haven't so far noticed anything long lasting from that, but I try to stay healthy, as healthy as I can. I've done better, but
yeah, good. And that's the thing. Once you know better, you do better, and you focus on. You're really good at like cell salts and remineralizing.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So it also back to the topic.
Yes.
The cord has no valves, which means that the blood flows freely, like we talked about, back and forth from baby to placenta. And I kind of wanted to take a second here. Oh wait, did we already discuss this? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Discuss delayed cord clamping in practice and alternative phrasing in birth plans. Yeah. We already discussed that. Okay, so we had to take a break because we had birth circle. So we are back on a different day to finish this.
Yes.
Sorry for the really probably abrupt cutoff.
This is why we've resorted to using notes, because if we don't, we're 5 hours in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Yes, and we have a helper today because sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So
yes, and we're moms. First and foremost. Yeah. So that's how it's going to go down.
So we're going to jump right back in, and we're going to talk briefly about some, I like to call them bogus reasons for you might be given from your provider for why they had to immediately clamp and cut the cord.
Yeah. So one of them is we need to get the baby breathing. baby is born, placed on the chest, and they're not breathing as vigorously as the provider would like. And this, I think, is where I see the biggest contrast between home and hospital. I was just at a situation where baby wasn't taking really vigorous breaths, and the midwife said, I'm not worried because the placenta is still attached. We hadn't had a separation gush. We knew that baby was getting oxygen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
super bogus.
Yeah.
Now, if they need to do a full resuscitation and there's a short cord and they can't get the baby in a position to do a resuscitation, okay, maybe. But for the most part, baby can be assessed and cared for and resuscitated while attached on mom.
Yes. And that's the most physiologically sound way to do it anyway.
Yeah. So, okay.
And then we always clamp right away. That's not rooted in any sort of evidence-based anything.
It's rooted in selfishness. Let's call it what it is.
Yep. It's rooted in, it originated because, they were trying to find out ways they were trying to be efficient in the hospital. They're trained in active management protocols.
Right.
And also they like to use the excuse for a perceived hemorrhage prevention. Which just is not based in any sort of evidence.
Key word is perceived.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the best providers I've seen, again, just recently, they love to push Pitocin. I know we're not talking about that, but like, let's cut and clamp, let's move, let's Pitocin. And when they're directly asked, is there a risk? They're like, no. I mean, it's really just prevention.
Mm-hmm.
My mom didn't need Pitocin at all at any point. Not ever.
Yeah. So I want to just kind of name off a few of these that could be actual emergencies, but the last thing you would do is actually clamp and cut the cord. The baby needs to be checked immediately. We need to clamp to prevent maternal bleeding. The cord was around baby's neck 1, 2, 3 times. A shoulder dystocia, got to cut the cord so we can move the baby. Baby is blue or slow to cry or unresponsive. We need to resuscitate baby. There's meconium or meconium asphyxiation. Yeah. I mean, there's more. There's an endless, but that's just what I could come up with. I mean, all of those can be real emergencies.
True emergencies, but don't have to be related to cutting the cord.
Yeah. It's not a reason in itself for you to immediately clamp and cut the cord. In fact, you should prioritize keeping it attached.
Correct.
Because that's where they're getting their oxygen.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Truly.
Yeah.
So just another reason to really, truly advocate for delayed cord clamping and or just not cutting at all until you feel like you're ready.
Yeah. So there are a couple of those, like maybe there is a situation where it was necessary, like what you said, if there's a short cord and you can't pull baby up high enough.
Correct.
Or if the cord is too tightly wrapped that baby really can't move and you can't get your finger under it to slip over their head.
Yeah, where you're seeing an impediment. And so there would be some other things present. For example, baby's not descending, or maybe baby's been born up to a certain point and then they're stalled, and we know it's not a shoulder because we've done our movements and trying to free the baby. And we start to see some really deep decels or indication that the cord is being either stretched, pinched, or, compressed in some way. But we're going to see a bigger picture than just nothing, right? Like there's going to be some indicators along the way that, okay, maybe it is a true cord issue and we need to free the baby from a cord entanglement. And then, of course, we would cut and clamp the cord.
Yeah. But again, that's so rare when 1 in 3 birds have nuchal cords.
Yeah.
And it's so rare for it to actually be that much of an issue. Most of the time, it's fine. Most of the time, you just get in there and you untangle the cord and get baby on mom and everything is fine. Another reason might be the cord snaps. If the cord snaps, yes, immediately clamp on both ends.
Yes. We did talk briefly about the sealing off that happens with the cord on the baby's side. And so as long as they're not weeping, they are going to, of course, close up and stop. But on the mom's side, if the placenta hasn't detached, you do need to clamp that side. And so the midwife or the OB would need to go in after the ragged end of the cord and close it off.
Yeah.
You want to put it on this?
Do you want to jump into now, like, all of the things that we can actually do with the placenta? And we don't just have to throw it away?
Yeah, definitely. So let's start with like the most basic, and then we'll get into the more in-depth. The very first thing that we can do with the placenta is deliver it before the cord is ever cut. So keeping baby attached to the placenta until it has been fully delivered. That's like the first beautiful thing we can do. The next thing that we can do is leave the placenta connected to the baby. This is called a lotus birth. And the placenta can be treated with herbs, preferably rosemary, and wrapped in either Chuck's pads or cloth diapers, or put in a beautiful bowl. But essentially, the parents would allow the cord to dry up and fall off on its own without ever cutting the cord and separating it from the baby.
And I have seen that it tends to fall off sooner that way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're in the hospital, you can still do this. You have every right to keep baby attached. You have every right to keep that baby attached in the car on the way home as long as you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that's the only way that you feel you'll get a true delayed cord clamping, then we would say absolutely tell them that you're going to do a lotus birth.
And you can always change your mind.
And you can change your mind. Yeah, if it checks the boxes and helps you to have the separation from placenta that you want for your baby, then go for it. Okay, so then let's talk about separations. So, of course, clamping and cutting is the most basic, most widely practiced. There are two, and actually there's probably more, but the two main types of clamping would be the flat clamp. It's a flat plastic. It's like as long as my pinky. Looks like a little alligator clamp, and it clamps on both maternal side and baby's side. And then it's removed by the midwife or the OB, or the cord just falls off. If you're having a hospital birth, they don't remove it. It just stays on until the cord falls off. You can remove it, though. You can remove it. Yeah, you can cut it.
And I would. If they use a plastic clamp, I would remove it because it can really irritate that area.
Yeah, it's not fun. And then the other one is a ring. So it's like a plastic stretchy ring that goes on the cord side and the baby side, and that you don't remove. It just falls off with the cord. The third option for cutting would be tying it with a beautiful string. Some people use cotton, some people use wool, and that would just be tying it on both ends instead of using a plastic. And this
even like I've seen, it's like really thick dental floss. What is it?
Nylon. Is it nylon?
It's something. It's a thick plastic string.
It's nylon.
That's like really thick dental floss, basically.
Yeah, but it's more of like a braided. If you zoom into it, it's like a braided texture, and I think it's not lycra. Maybe I'm thinking lycra.
Maybe. I gotta say, that one freaks me out a little bit. I watched a midwife tying it like really tight one time, and I'm like, what if her hand slips?
Yeah, or what if it like goes through, like if you tie it through the cord completely, or you don't tie it enough. But this is a good option, not the lycra or the nylon, but the wool or the cotton. If you don't want any plastic anything on your baby, that's a good option. If you do want to cut, but you don't want to use the plastic alternative.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that's a good one. And then also cord burning. So Sydney did this one. It's a very beautiful tradition. Time consuming. But basically you have a bowl or a box with some divots for the cord to lay on, so it's not moving around. And then you've got some other divots for candle to
beeswax candles specifically, because beeswax is cleansing. All other candles are toxic.
Yeah, it's really true. Beeswax, when burned, purifies the air. soy and other ones off gas and emit toxins. So for sure, especially around your brand new baby, only beeswax.
Yep.
And essentially the box is to catch the wax so that it doesn't burn anybody.
Also, make sure it's sealed entirely so the wax doesn't leak out of it.
Yes.
We had that mistake.
Okay, yeah. So a sealed container of some sort that's beautiful, beeswax candles, and basically you're just burning through that flesh. It's a beautiful ritual. It's a beautiful way to sever the cord. Probably
take
more
like 10 minutes.
Probably more time consuming than either of us would want to do ever in our lives. But it is a really nice, beautiful way to honor that connection.
Yeah. And that also, I will say when we did the cord burning, it did fall off pretty quickly as well. The cord stump fell off quickly with that.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. So that's the how to sever. Now let's talk about what can we do with the placenta once it's separate from the baby. Once it's been separated from the baby, you can throw it in the trash can. Not advised, but you can do that. What do you think? Do you think we should do it? Should we throw it in the trash can?
Still in my freezer.
Yes, we all have placentas in our freezers. Is that so funny? We would not throw it in the trash can.
It's funny. I've buried other women's placentas on my property like 2 or 3 times, but I still haven't gotten around to burying hers.
Oh my goodness. Say, come on, Mom. We got to get it done. So alluded to just now, you can bury your placenta. That's a much more, not humane. That's not the word I want to use. It's a more beautiful way to honor this.
It also can be ceremonial.
Can be ceremonial. Yep. Mine are all buried under beautiful plants all across the U.S. because we didn't live in any one place for delivery. And
it's also really good for like your fruit trees.
Yeah. Just like planting fish carcasses under plants, planting a placenta, wow. Does it actually, think about it, it's decomposing flesh with all these vitamins, minerals, all these things.
And iron. Iron is really good for fruit trees.
Yeah, ooh, so I wonder if putting it under hydrangea would.
Probably.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So
there's some ideas. You can bury your placenta. It's really beautiful. Plant a tree for each of your kids as you bury them. You can eat your placenta in various ways. You can eat it raw. You can blend it in a smoothie. You can steam it and eat it steamed. Or my favorite way, if you're going to consume it, my favorite way to recommend is to encapsulate it. And so you would find a local encapsulator. I'm a local resource for our area, but wherever you are, find a placenta encapsulator. And they basically make placenta jerky and pulverize it and encapsulate it.
Yeah.
We both really recommend that you do your research, as we said earlier, on that if you do plan to consume it, and listen to your body. Not everybody takes it and feels amazing. So if you're taking it and something feels off, listen to that. You're probably right, and you should discontinue.
Yeah. There aren't a whole lot of studies out there to support or not support the use of consuming your placenta. I'll try and find some and link them.
Yeah.
Either in the show notes, or if you're taking our class, I'll put it in our module. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of evidence out there. Most of it is just like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Anecdotal.
Anecdotal, yes.
Like, we think it works, so it works.
Yeah. And as we know, the mind is very powerful.
Yeah. In fact, this is so astute. Clementine yesterday said, I think it's just one big placebo effect. I think everybody just thinks it's good for them. And I was like, I don't know. Do your research.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where you can find information in both camps. And so you really need to know for yourself if you feel like that's a good option.
Yeah. I know.
What happened? One thing I will say about consuming is you can also make a tincture, and you can also steam and drink the broth of it. So those are some other ways of consumption that are possible.
That doesn't sound yummy to me.
Yeah, no, I would probably prefer not to ever do that in my life.
But it's an option.
It is an option that I do provide, but I have never ingested my own, so I can't speak to its goodness or not goodness. I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I encapsulated my second, and probably day 3 into it, I just felt like a deep wrongness inside, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And I just decided to stop taking them because I was like, maybe it's related. And sure enough, the feeling went away like the next day.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was like, and that was, I was I was like so ready to get all of the benefits of consuming my placenta.
Yeah.
And it just felt so wrong once I started.
But good for you for not being locked into an ideology and having this like very like, it's this way or nothing. You listened to your body, you followed your intuition, and you took it out. And it didn't work for you. And you felt better after because you did listen.
Yeah.
So good job for that.
Yeah, so just listen to your body. You can always change your mind. Even if you're in the middle of it, you can always change your mind.
Exactly. Some other things too worth mentioning. Keepsakes, making beautiful cord keepsakes are really precious.
I'm going to go get mine really quick.
Oh yeah. Making placenta prints are really beautiful. Definitely look at it. If nothing else, participate in a placenta exam. It's incredible, amazing, wonderful, and you absolutely should check it out.
Nicole did this one for me. Hopefully there's not a glare on it and you can see it. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. But it's a placenta print, and it was the first one that you did with gold.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have done them in gold ever since because it's everybody's most favorite.
It's beautiful. And then this is from Estelle's.
Cute.
So this is my 3rd baby, and this was my 2nd baby.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. I think that covers everything.
I think so.
Yeah. Are there any little tidbits you want to add in there?
Nope. If you do decide to consume your placenta, it needs to be taken from most hospitals between 1 and 4 hours is the length of time I've seen that you can take it. So if you are going to do that, you need to arrange to have it picked up or delivered within an hour to 4 hours after birth. And it needs to be kept cold. So ask for ice and put it on ice if you are going to consume it.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise I think that's all I got.
All right, guys. Yeah. Yeah, we're done now.
Woohoo.
Okay, guys, we will see y'all soon. We have some really exciting episodes on the books for us. Be patient with us.
Yes.
We are in very busy seasons of our life.
Yes, we what we thought was going to be a busy February turned into a busy January, which made January and February busy. So
yeah,
it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but we're recovering and hoping to push out some information soon. So.
Yes. Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all soon.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you for entering the birth room with us, a space where stories breathe, wisdom flows, and the veil between heaven and earth grows thin. If today's episode stirred something in you, we invite you to linger with it, to share it, to sit with it, to carry it into your own sacred spaces. Follow the Birth Room podcast and connect with us as we continue to remember, reclaim, and surrender birth together. Until next time, walk gently, surrender wholly, and never forget, birth is holy ground.